Girls Frontline 2 has the best story writing technique in the prologue chapter of all gacha games, and that is the anti-yapping technique. Everybody knows what yapping is. This is where the writers just spoon-feed you so many unnecessary expositions and leave you with a massive headache without you understanding anything. This could be random jargon and made-up words, or just explaining something that has nothing to do with the current story. This is one of many reasons why a lot of players just choose to skip the story if they can. But that's not happening in Girls Frontline 2, which is a sequel to an established franchise. That means the writers should have plenty of world-building concept to yap about, and yet they didn't. Why? Because the one core writing principle in Girls Frontline 2 is this: if it's not important, don't say it. In other words, the writers will only tell you everything you need to know about the plot right now, and nothing else. That started immediately in the prologue with this flashback dialogue. All you need to know from this is that the commander chose to leave Griffin because of two reasons. They didn't want to become a pawn to someone else, and they felt nothing they did changed anything. That's it. Everything else is in the implication. We can infer that the commander is a military veteran, a good guy who did their best, and it was simply not enough. They were tired. When they had the chance to leave it all, they just took it. And that's it. That is all you need to know to get into the commander's shoes for this sequel story. Of course, there is more to it if you played the first game. You would know everything that led them to make this decision. But those reasons and backstories are not important right now to the plot, so the writers chose not to tell you about it. The writers will only reveal it to you when it becomes important. This is just the best way to write a sequel story for a franchise without needing the new players to read hundreds of hours of wiki pages before even starting the game. I can confidently say this because at the time when this video was recorded, I was in a unique position where I knew some of the lore while also in the process of playing the first game starting last month. For new players, everything not explicitly explained in the story is a mystery that keeps you going. The best example is the collapsed epiphyllum. You don't need to know what it is. The writers did a great job of conveying why those things matter to the commander without needing you to know the details. You just need to know that the existence of this thing and Helena together had caused some degree of suspicion for the commander. Another example. You don't need to know everything about this mysterious faction. You just need to know the trauma it caused to the commander, to the point that when it was revealed, the commander just freaked out, completely out of character. For veteran players, those details feel like a fan service party. You will enjoy every moment predicting and anticipating when certain things will show up. As a veteran, you knew that the collapsed epiphyllum has something to do with the second half of the original game, and now you're just waiting for that grand reveal. Either way, no matter which type of player you are, you will keep reading and enjoying the story because you're curious about what will happen next, even if the story is slow-paced. This is why I find it unfortunate that a lot of new players are rushing to ask the veteran players or reading the wiki to spoil themselves of the mystery. They rob themselves of the mystery and the reveal just because of the fear of missing out. They don't trust that the writers will cater to them and do a great job of explaining it, while the truth is, they do. In Girls Frontline 2, when those lore details become important to the plot, the writers will explain them, so nobody is missing out. All of those suspicions the commander had? Yeah, all of them are explained in this dialogue with Groza when it is now the central part of the plot. In fact, you do get to experience what the commander knew about the insanity of this cult directly in the later chapters. The writers know how to portion out those lore into small bits and pieces for new players to consume. That is obviously better than reading some random Twitter post yapping about the lore. And by the way, they are very good at using show don't tell principle and putting it inside the plotlines. My favorite is how they show us what the doll can do in the intro. If this is any other gacha game, the writers will give you a 5-minute exposition about how the commander shouldn't worry about the dolls. No! In Girls Frontline 2, Groza got shot in the head 15 minutes into the game. And then they show you that the commander has no worries whatsoever, not even yelling or reaching her hand out to her. Instead, she just stalled for time until the dolls return with spare bodies. From then on, you know that death is merely an inconvenience for these robots, and it sets a precedent that you don't need to worry about them dying. They did all that without any yapping whatsoever. And did you notice that the game doesn't say the word doll until this exact scene? Yeah, because the writers want to present to you this lore detail with a fake death scene. They also thought about how to structure the story in a way to avoid overwhelming the players. If you notice, every character is shown one by one and given enough screen time to establish their key characteristics before the game moves on to the next. We started with Groza, and within 30 seconds, we already know everything we needed to know about her and the relationship she had with the commander. They threw jokes at one another like a happily married couple, which shows the amount of trust and care for each other. And that goes for the rest of the Elmo crew. With all of this combined, I think Girls Frontline 2 writing is actually better for the new player. Just play the game blind and enjoy the mystery. There are also other good things I can point out about their excellent writing, like how they keep establishing a chain of mysteries that keeps you engaged with the story, or their comedic style of writing, like how the commander got jinxed immediately in the intro, and how Nemesis is accidentally picked to tell jokes in the Glass Island event, or how the writers used the loading screen as a small catch-up mechanic if you got lost in the story. All of this would take me hours to explain. Let's just say that the writing in Girls Frontline 2 is way better than you think it is, and I will continue to showcase it in the next video. If you'd like to see that, go ahead and subscribe, because next time, we'll talk about how they write the commander, which just ruined the self-insert protagonist for me forever. It's just so good that it would require a video on its own. But that's just me. What do you think? Are you a lore veteran or a newbie? Please do let me know in the comment section down below. I always reply to everyone in my comment section, and I would like to know if you've enjoyed the story so far, especially if you're new to this franchise. If you want to continue watching, I recommend my essay video on why Zenless Zone Zero's prologue is so good, because the writers use horror elements. And with that, I think I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.